Today on Straight Talk, we're with Matt Vonachen, who is the owner of a successful building service contracting company and also on the ISSA board of directors. Matt, welcome to our show today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and a little history of Matt.
Sure. Our business is the Vonachen Group, and that's a holding company of a series of building service contractor businesses. We operate throughout the Midwest on a regional platform. Today, we're doing business in 11 different states and 60 different cities. And my background is, I grew up in a family of cleaning entrepreneurs. I'm a third generation. My grandfather started in the business in the 30s with a distribution business. My father came into the business and ran the distribution business for 40 years. And during that time, he started a contract cleaning business in 1968. And the purpose of that contract cleaning business was to support the needs of the distribution customers. So that's really the birth of the contract cleaning business. Background about myself. After college, I went to work for a business called American Stores. They owned the Jewel and Osco franchises. I spent 2 years in a management training program. And then after that, I went to work for Rubbermaid and was a manufacturer's rep for Rubbermaid in the Chicago market and had an opportunity to call on distribution, contractors, and retailers. In 1993, I came back to the distribution business and worked for my father. And that business was sold in 1999 to AmSan. And I performed a variety of different positions for AmSan and eventually became a regional president of the Midwest for AmSan. And after that, the AmSan decided to exit the distribution business in 2007. After participating in that sale, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next in my chapter, and my father told me he had this contract cleaning business and was thinking about what he was going to do with it. So I bought that business in August of 2008, and this is where I am today.
What a rich history you have with your family and the industry and your experience. Now, with ISSA, you're on the board of directors. What do you do there?
Yes, I'm just finishing my third term as an ISSA board director, and my role is to represent the building service contractors.
Well, you're doing a fine job with that, and that's kind of how we want to get into our meat of our conversation today, thinking about what is going on in the BSC industry, building service contracting. Obviously, with your finger on the pulse of the industry, let's go back to early March when the pandemic was announced by the World Health Organization.
Yes.
From Matt's perspective, your perspective, what did you see and predict, and did things progress as expected?
Wow. Well, I certainly did not see what was coming. If I step back to February and early March, the economy was roaring, and our business was extremely good. We were growing our people, we were growing our company, and the future just looked incredibly bright. When March hit, I think I was as shocked as anybody, and really went through a tremendous transition with all that.
So what did you do, and what are you doing now to keep your company healthy?
Sure. Well, I think in March, what I think most of us found is we started going day to day. We started looking at our business on a day-to-day basis and figure out, what do we do now? We had a pandemic plan in place, and we implemented that immediately, but we weren't prepared for working remote and the communication that was needed to, successfully work in a remote environment. But within a week, we became a virtual business. All of our office staff began working from home. we began learning and training our people how to use Skype, Zoom, Teams meetings. And I personally went through a learning process of, how do you manage people? How do you manage a business virtually as opposed to inside a building with walls? So it was a challenge, but I'm extremely proud of our team. We've been very successful operating virtually, and technology has, brought us a long way.
Mm-hmm. With your place in the industry, no doubt you have conversation with your peers, other successful owners of big companies. What do you talk about when you're together? Maybe it's virtually, on the phone.
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, a big conversation was the disruption in the supply chain. Where are you sourcing your PPE? What are you doing about, finding disinfectants? What systems are you using with all the HTP cleaning going or the electrostatic spraying? As everybody knows, I think there was a complete disruption in the supply chain. So, we had to look outside of our normal channels to acquire those supplies. Mm-hmm. We also talk about legislation and, what's going to happen with this pandemic. What is it going to do to our business as it pertains to workman's comp and unemployment? How do you manage through all the COVID-related issues from an HR perspective? So the peer groups to me have been incredibly valuable, to have that sounding board, to, ask people, what they're doing and, how they're dealing with these situations.
So thinking about not just survival, but growth. I know your company or you yourself were involved with the ISSA Cleaning Industry Management Standard, or CIMS.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How has that helped you?
Sure. We have been a CIMS certified contractor since 2007. We were in the initial class, and we're in the process right now of going through our 5th recertification. CIMS has been awesome for us. I would tell you that, above all, I think it helps keep us accountable and, forcing us to document all our processes and procedures as a business and make sure we're performing all those procedures consistently throughout the organization. Mm-hmm. So above all, the accountability of what we need to do on a consistent basis across the enterprise.
So have you used CIMS to get more business, more work?
We have. It is something that, is part of our initial introduction to a customer. We like to explain to people the process we have gone through as a business. And I think it does help us separate ourselves from a lot of the competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have one final official question, kind of an interesting one. There's a lot of building service contractors out there who are struggling, and some might be on the brink of financial disaster. The reality is the jobs for some are gone because of the pandemic. If one of them got you on the phone and said, Matt, what can I do? Any words of advice?
Well, the first thing I would do is listen to their problem and do anything I could to help them. If there's one thing the ISSA has taught me is that we're all in this together and we're resources for each other. And a unique thing about this industry is even though you have competitors, most of your competitors end up becoming friends too. So we help each other. Depending on what the situation was, the disaster, I would look to help to point them to whatever resources that are available through the ISSA.
Very good. So to wrap it up, open microphone for you. Anything you want to tell the ISSA membership, especially the building service contractors?
Yeah, I would like to leave the group with a positive note. I think our future is incredibly bright. I am very excited about what's going on. Obviously, the COVID times are difficult, but through the pandemic, I think the cleaning industry has gained a complete new respect throughout the world. Not only will HTP cleaning and electrostatic spraying continue to be a part of everybody's life, but general cleaning has a heightened awareness. And instead of being the first thing that is typically cut in somebody's operational budget, I would say now that we are, one of the priorities in people's operational budgets, and they understand the need to have buildings cleaned and sanitized on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate it took a pandemic to bring this awareness to light, but here we are.
That's exactly right.
Well, Matt, thank you for your insight, and we'll catch up with you another time.
Thank you, Jeff.